So today I'm going to be reviewing the Sony IER-Z1Rs. I want to give a shout out to Ash for giving me the opportunity to try the IER-Z1R. Without you, this review would not have been possible, so big shout out to Ash. If you're watching, you know who you are. And with that being said, I do not own the IER-Z1R, and these were purchased secondhand before they were given to me for review, so you'll keep that in mind for the remainder of this video. The Sony IER-Z1R is Sony's flagship IEM. It cost about $2,000. So I'm going to be very critical of this product because I've also seen it online for about $1,000 or less used, but it's still very expensive. So I'm going to be very critical of this product in this review. So before we get into the sound, I really like the packaging the Z1R came in. The box is typical Sony packaging, but you can tell it's a premium product by the way that all of the cables and ear tips were laid out in the box and the way the box is designed. If you want to see an unboxing video, listen to the channel for that, but I do want to bring it up since I thought that Sony went a bit above and beyond in this aspect of the product. I also wanted to mention and applaud Sony for including a 4.4mm balanced cable. This is a big plus since certain brands like 64 Audio don't include one with their 64 Audio Volar. And I think they're spending this kind of money on an IEM. A balanced cable should just be included by default most of the time. Now before I get into the sound, I do want to mention that I tip rolled this IEM a bit. And so I tried the Core Brass, I tried the Velvet ear tips, I tried a few others. And to my ears, the stock silicone and memory foam ear tips sounded the best on this IEM. And I think that the stock memory foam ear tips need to be discussed because they aren't your typical memory foam like you would get with something from like a Dakoni or KZ or something like that. They are a bit different and the texture is a bit more soft, and so these closely resemble the ear tips that came with the Sony WF-1000XM3s, if anyone has tried that. These are almost the identical, if not the same memory foam tips that they were using in that. So that's how they feel, and those are the tips that I used. Well, actually I use the silicone tips the most, but I just use both Sony stock ear tips with this IEM. As far as sound goes with this IEM, I think it's very well suited for modern music, especially music that came out in the last 15 to 20-ish years. It's a very lively and energetic sounding IEM. I would never call it bright, although it does have a lot of top-end energy in the upper frequencies. It has good dynamics in the bass. I do think the Z1R can struggle a bit when bringing the rumble, low-end rumble to the bass of something like EDM or something, some of that sub-bassy region. It can struggle a bit. Now, I know a lot of people would say the bass is actually the highlight of the IER-Z1R, but I'd actually have to disagree with that. I think that the vocals are the highlight of the IER-Z1R for me. To me, they are very easy to listen to, and I really like the vocals on these. They just sound natural and easy to listen to, and I think this is one of the best vocal presentations I've heard on any IEMs at any price point. I do think, though, that female vocals tend to sound a bit better than male vocals, at least on the Z1R. But to me, vocals were the highlight of the Z1R. Now, if I had to nitpick about the sound, I do think that the Z1R struggles a bit with bringing some sub-bass rumble to some recordings. It can also struggle with some of the really higher frequency, bringing life to that to me above 10 or 15,000 kilohertz. But I do really love the sound of this IEM. It's very easygoing and sounds excellent, and it can mostly be driven off of like anything. I ran it off an Apple dongle, but I did have to run it at 100%, running that off my Pixel 8. But I can't seem to find any music that sounds bad on the Z1R. Everything I listen to on it just sounds great, and it keeps that energetic and lively sound that the Z1R was giving me that I love so much. So overall, this is a great sounding IEM, and I would say this is one of the best IEMs I've ever heard. Now, as far as build goes on the IER-Z1R, there's not really much to talk about in terms of build. They do feel nice and sturdy in the hands, and they use an MMCX connector. Now, the connector on these feels a lot nicer than cheaper IEMs I've used, like my Tin Hi-Fi T2s, for example. But if I had to nitpick about the build, I would say that some people may find the Sennheiser IE series or the 64 Audio IEMs a bit more comfortable in their ears. I personally don't have much of a problem with comfort on the IER-Z1R once it's in my ears, but I will say that I have tried more comfortable IEMs, such as 64 Audio IEMs, for example, or other IEMs. Although I do think that they will fit many people's ears quite well, they aren't the most comfortable pair out there in the world, and I think that some people may find them better comfort elsewhere. But if I'm talking about these in isolation, they are very comfortable IEM, but yeah, results may vary. Before I talk about the value of the Z1R, I want to discuss something about IEMs in general. Now, at least for me, it's hard to justify the IEM proposition in flagship range, just because most of the time I personally rather buy over-ear headphones at this price point, and I think that at these price points especially, it's just going to be a lot better for value for money if you're talking about just the sound. I also haven't extensively tried that many IEMs that are this expensive, and I actually haven't tried that many that are above $1,000. The only ones I've tried extensively are the IER-Z1R and the 64 Audio Volar. So for me at least, that makes it a little bit harder for me to assess the value of higher end IEMs or flagship IEMs like the IER-Z1R. But with that out of the way, I want to talk about my recommendations of the IER-Z1R. Would I recommend the IER-Z1R? I would recommend this IEM, but not to everyone. I think that it is quite a bit expensive. I really do want to like the Z1R because I find it very enjoyable sound to me, and it's hard, if not impossible, to find anything that I would say actually sounds bad on this IEM. It has great and punchy bass, and it sounds very lively and energetic. But where things start to fall apart for me personally is when I look at the price. At this price point, if you're talking about spending that much money on an IEM, it isn't really that much cheaper than a 64 audio roller, which I think has better sub-bass performance and better low-end texture and layering in the bass region than the IER-Z1R. And at this price point is also double the price of the The-Audio Monarch Mark II and almost double the price of the The-Audio Monarch Mark III. I was able to demo those IEMs, but it was a long time ago. I don't really remember that much to comment on them, but I also know there's a lot of positive reviews from other people that love the The-Audio Monarch products. And I would also want to mention the Moondrop variations for anyone looking at these IEMs. It is nowhere near the level of sound quality you're getting from something like the IER-Z1R, but it brings a lot of value to the table. It has a more defined sub-bass region. While it doesn't sound better, it's more defined in the sound than it is on the Z1R if you're not doing any EQ. It's also a very good choice for the money. So my honest opinion is that this is a great IEM, and it's one of the best IEMs I've heard. But for what it is, it's very expensive. Even at the used price of around $800 to $1,000, I still consider it very expensive for what it is. But if Sony thinks you'll like this kind of sound that I described earlier in the video, I would still recommend this IEM. Just make sure that if you're looking into getting a Z1R for yourself, that you do research and make sure it's the right IEM for you. But again, if I was just speaking on the sound of the IEM and not the price, this is a really amazing IEM. So thanks for watching my review of these IER-Z1R, and I'll see you in the next video.